Hey guys, it's Ed from This Pixel, and today I'm answering more of your fantastic art-related questions. If you want to hear some of the questions that I answered before, you can check out my latest Painter's Hollow video, because I answered a lot of your questions there. So I'm going to continue where I left off, and if you have any questions you'd like to ask, some general art industry related questions, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll include it in my next art talk. Cool? And our first one comes from a dear friend and alumni, Nicole. Hi, Nicole. She goes by the name Wow Nicole, which I believe is associated with World of Warcraft, if I'm not mistaken, because she's a big World of Warcraft fan. And her question is very relevant, not only generally speaking, but to me as well, immediately, as of what I'm going through right now. Her question is making art while experiencing difficult circumstances. For instance, chronic illness, toxic relationships, etc. Pushing through self-doubt. Excellent question. And the reason why this is very relevant is because I have health issues. I have hypothyroidism. In fact, I just saw my doctor this morning about it because I've been feeling like shit for the last few months. Your thyroid kind of impacts everything. Your metabolism, your weight, your mood, your sleep, your everything. It's kind of an all-encompassing thing. And what I've learned through my life with hypothyroidism or having injured myself in the past and things like that, one of the things that us humans need to be aware of is that our systems in our body, our nervous system, our cardiovascular system, our endocrine system, etc., 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 are not modular, meaning one thing impacts everything else. If you have chronic back pain, this affects your mood, this affects your productivity, etc. This affects your sleep. If you have an endocrine system, if you have a hormonal imbalance, then this impacts everything else. So in my opinion, my strong opinion, health is your number one priority over everything else. Once you get your health in check, it has a positive domino effect on everything else. So how you eat, how you sleep, whether you exercise or not, how active you are, how much you respect your mental health and address issues when they happen and seek professional help. All of those things should be your top priority. And if you can take care of that, life in general becomes a lot easier. But if you're just trying to push yourself through the pain and push things aside, you have my word, it will catch up with you. Now, there is balance to that, meaning you can get what's called health anxiety, where you're watching too many YouTube videos and you're tracking too many things too vigilantly. And that can also have an adverse effect. Sometimes it's better just to not be too hyper-focused on your health all the time. So if you find you're becoming hyper-vigilant and you're tracking every single moment of every single day, you might be pushing it a little bit too much, particularly if it's causing you anxiety. And if you do have chronic anxiety issues like or neurological conditions like OCD or ADHD or autism or things like that, then that's something you don't want to address alone. You want to speak to a professional and find a professional that really understands you and empathizes with you and can offer you the help that you need. Cool. The next question here is from Monster Cabin. And the question is actually about AI. How using AI for content creation, for instance, art for games and videos, on your day job makes you question your own art when it comes to working on your own projects. It's been a weird couple of years for people working on the mobile game industry, I think. I'll just give you the short and quick answer. I think that AI in any kind of production, if it's used to generate art, used to generate imagery at all, like what's happening right now with NVIDIA. I was just watching a video by Young, where he was talking about how there's been a lot of pushback against NVIDIA because they're basically AI slopping all of their content, all of their creations and stuff like that. And he made comparisons with the beautiful, realistic art by Kojima, for instance, for Death Stranding. There's no value in automatically generated anything. Automatically generated music, automatically generated art, automatically generated poetry, comedy, whatever. What people don't realize, and this is one of the reasons why I've always held the very strong belief that I was long-term never worried about AI's impact on human art. Because the very fact that it's not created by a human, by definition, makes it lose all of its value immediately. Because the only reason why we love art of any kind, music, poetry, writing, comedy, visual arts, photography, videography, dance, whatever, is that it is human made. And this is one of the reasons why, for instance, the dance industry has never been particularly threatened by AI, because AI can't create people. And dance in and of itself is a 100% human activity. It requires a human body to produce. When it comes to AI-generated anything, it intrinsically has no value to a human being. This is the reason why, I play chess all the time. If anybody tries to cheat and use a chess bot, real professionals can call that out immediately. They can tell when something thinks unlike a human, when they're 23 steps ahead of time and they make these completely random moves that nobody in a million years would know could lead to a certain result. It just has no value. And what people do is they call them out, they ban them, and that's the end of their career. They lose their titles. And my strong opinion is that exactly the same thing applies to AI. How do I navigate AI? Number one, I don't engage with it. Number two, if I'm ever working for a client or a company that expects me to use AI, I move on. I don't even indulge in that conversation. I just move on. And I honestly don't give it any mind beyond that. I work on my own art. I've continued on where I've left off, and that's the end of the conversation. Right there. It has no value to me. I don't give it any consideration. I do actually value and use AI as a beefed up shortcut web search result thing. What if I'm looking up information online? I might use Gemini for stuff like that, just so I don't have to go fishing around through Reddit posts and stuff like that, just so I can get straight to answers. And I love it as a research tool for information. But anything when it comes to visual or audio or any kind of tangible artistic creation, I have no time for it at all, and I don't even give it much thought. Period. The last question is a really, really good one. It's actually something I've been talking about with my daughter, Emily, recently. This is by Hawk Lyeth, really pretty name. And Hawk writes, the value of community and daring to strike out alone when needed, because this is what I'm dealing with right now. LOL. Okay. I think that community today is more important than ever. I find one of the things that I discovered years ago and almost relived again recently was back in 1998, we had an ice storm. And it was a very severe ice. If you go online and look up 1998 Quebec ice storm, you'll see just how bad it got. It was pretty apocalyptic as far as that goes. I lived through that in Montreal. And the minute the power goes out, the minute there's some kind of natural disaster, when I had a flood here a couple of years ago, immediately community becomes priority number one. When the power goes out, you need people. When there's a tragedy, you need people. When you're lost and confused and you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're trying to reach out to somebody for help, community is absolutely important. And the conversation I had with Emily recently, so she was talking about, this is what she feels she and so many artists her age, 24 right now, really, really need. Reaching out, going to conventions, going to the Otakuthon in Montreal or the Comic-Con convention, or setting up a booth in a public place and selling some of your illustrations or selling some of your merch and stuff like that. Or just reaching out to people in communities, going on drawing. I remember back in the day, Bobby Chi used to have his Sketchaholic or his subway sketching thing where you used to kind of he would get a bunch of people from Toronto, Ontario together to ride the subway and do sketching and stuff like that. Really cool idea. You meet people, you rub elbows with people, you get to shake people's hands, you look in their eyes, you hear their voice. I can't stress enough the importance of making human connections with people. Something that even I feel like I haven't gotten enough of, just based off of the fact that I'm so busy and traveling is an issue for me. Every single time I get up and I meet artists face to face, there is no more validating, rewarding, empowering, and heartwarming an experience. Seeing and meeting fellow artists, putting a human behind all of that beautiful talent that I see. That said, there are times where, you're busy, you're doing your thing, you're on your own. And some people navigate that alone time better than others. Some people are natural kind of introverts and they love their little private space. I would say that when I was younger, I was much more dependent on socializing. Now that I'm older and I've had 3 kids and I'm a little bit more established and I've kind of got my space and my work my workflow settled a little bit more, it's less of a priority, which is a detriment to me and my career, because I don't feel incentivized to get out and meet people as often. And when I do, I realize just how much I've been missing. So I think the long and short of it is you need to see people. You need to touch grass. You need to shake hands. You need to swap viruses when you shake people's hands and give them hugs and stuff like that. But God, people are so awesome. And when you meet them in person, you can feel a smile in front of you rather than through a TV screen. Nothing compares to that. So I think the TLDR of that is, if you're comfortable doing things on your own and you have that sense of independence, that's great, because that allows you to kind of live in your own little creative bubble. However, don't get too comfortable with that. If and when the opportunity to meet a friend, go to an event, etc., if that comes out, if there's a public, like if you can go to some local school and do some figure sketching or something like that, if they have open drawing sessions and stuff like that, I can't stress enough how much just being in the presence of other people, whether you chat with them or not, just being there in a room with other artists is nourishing to the soul. So take every opportunity you can get. And if your friend invites you out, don't make excuses. See your friends. You need your friends. They're very important in your life. All right. With that said, thank you, everybody who submitted these questions. These are such amazing questions, and I love talking about this stuff. And like I said before, if you have any questions yourself, let me know in the comments below. All right. Mwah! Happy drawing. Take care.